greatest films ever made. Please welcome Dustin Hoffman.
So here's to you, Mrs. Robinson. Heaven holds a place for those who pray. Hey, so here's to you, Mrs. Robinson.
Good evening, sir. Thank you for joining us.
I'm okay. God, it was great watching Hugh and Eric. It really was that was fun. This is a little disconcerting.
You don't have the bubbles?
Well, they look like sperm on steroids, and it's tough to. I would think it's tough to compete with them.
Yeah. Well, you know, I put the image from my head when I get home. I don't let it go on it. What have you done to your finger? Can I ask you? I just noticed you've got a contraption on there. Have you hurt yourself?
Well, you have exterior tendons that are attached to the bone, and my tendon came off the bone, so I have to wear that for 8 weeks.
Oh, man. How'd that happen?
I got in a fight.
Well, I'd hate to see the other fella.
No, it was a female. She was a stalker. She was about 82, but she had been following me around for the last 40 years.
She finally got you. Is it weird watching yourself on screen when you were such a young man so long ago?
I don't feel I've changed at all. I think I look the same.
Well, you're very similar, of course. But I wonder, do you look at your performances and think, I would do that differently now? Do you
Sure. As a matter of fact, there was just before I came here, I was getting dressed, and there was the guy on television who had just had beaten Nadal in the French Open.
Söderling.
And he said, I've just beaten the greatest tennis player on clay in the history of the game. He said, but I don't think about that. I think that I have now to go to the semifinals, and then I have to go to the final. There's always something else that you have to do. And that's, I guess, all of us. I mean, you're always thinking of how you can, how you can improve it.
But you seem about as mellow as someone can be in your profession. I mean, you seem so relaxed these days, so chilled out about, your life and in your work. And was there a point when that came to you, that you changed, that you stopped being quite as driven?
I don't think so. I know they write that, but the truth is that I was lucky. I started out as a waiter, which I did for about 12 years, and then out of everything I ever tried out for, I never even got a call back. And then suddenly I get an audition for the thing called The Graduate, and I get cast in it. So it's like a light switch. And many times when I talk to actors, in fact, because it's so frustrating, because I've been doing it for 40 years, and 90% of actors are out of work. That's the game. That's the way it is. There's not enough employment. And I tell them, to hopefully reassure them that after I finish that film, after waiting on tables for 12 years and suddenly doing that for 4 months, I finished that film in Los Angeles. I went back to New York, and I had no money because they just paid me minimum, and I had to maintain my apartment in New York, my apartment in L.A. And I go back to New York, and I go on unemployment. You call it the dole.
Yeah.
They're editing the film to make me, that's going to turn me into a star. And while they're doing that, I'm going on auditions, and they're saying to me, thank you, next. And I can't get a call back, So did I answer the question?
Yeah. You answered every question, in fact. But what an incredible moment that must have been for you, because you're an actor, and obviously you cared about acting, you loved acting, and you're banging away trying to get work. You get this film part, and then when the movie comes out, your life changed forever overnight, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Yeah. My agent called me because I lived on 11th Street in the Village. I had a lovely one-bedroom apartment, and my agent said, you better change your phone number because you're a star now. And I said, okay. I said, but I can't change where I live. That's where I live, and they're going to see that in the phone book. And I used to get little presents on the doorstep, when I would come back home. Girls had been waiting. I couldn't get a date to save my life until that movie. And suddenly they're sitting on the doorstep or they're leaving little presents. It wasn't a bad change.
Yeah. let me ask you about some of your films from that period that we're just talking about here, because there's a couple of my all-time favourites there. Midnight Cowboy and Papillon.
Yes.
And Papillon's a strange film when you go back to it now, because that's a long movie. I mean, it's about 4 days long? I mean, that's a long film. But incredible performance from you, and of course a great performance from Steve McQueen, who's an actor I could just watch just every time he's on. I'll stay with the movie. What was he like to work with? What was that experience like for you?
He was an interesting guy. He was an ex-convict, and he was in prison when he was like a teenager, and he had a kind of convict personality, so he was very wary, very much like Hugh Laurie. I wanted to ask Hugh if he ever did any time. But Steve could, he had eyes in the back of his head. He was worried that, people were going to take advantage of him. But he was mistrustful of me when we started. He said to me the very first day, he never moved his lips, and he would say, if we're going to be good in this movie, we're both going to be good. You know what I mean? So he laid down the rules, and it took him a long time to trust me. And then finally, I think he realized that I wanted him to be good. Yeah. But I think it's a great performance he gave in that film.